What's up, everybody? Our guest today is a entrepreneur and business prodigy who left his home in China 8 years ago to chase his dreams in the beautiful city that we call home, Halifax. With a flair for innovation and a heart for community, he has made waves in the business world, owning not one, not two, not even three, but 4 companies. From his cutting-edge marketing agency to his captivating production company and his trailblazing modeling agency, Will has left his mark on the entrepreneurial landscape of Nova Scotia. But that's not all. This man is a true changemaker. He has also founded a nonprofit organization that brings together the Asian and Nova Scotian communities, building bridges and fostering greater understanding within the community. So, if you're looking for inspiration, guidance, and some serious entrepreneurial know-how, then you're in for a treat. Join us as we delve into his journey, exploring his successes, his challenges, and lessons learned along the way. Not to mention, we also cancel ourselves 3 times throughout the episode. So get ready to be dazzled and motivated by the unstoppable force that is Will Yang. To start off, honestly, I think we'd like to start at the beginning, and get a little bit of a background as to, how you first came to be in Halifax.
Wow, that's a very, very beginning of the story. So yeah, I came here 2015. So the reason I'm here is because of school. So I went to Dal, and I studied interesting program called Environmental and Sustainability Management. That's weird. That's why I come. All the Asian parents go to a good school, and here I am. Yeah, it's good old Dalhousie. So I came here in 2015, and then so what I'm doing, right now is in the creative industry, and the reason why I'm doing that is I take photos, back in China in 2011, I was thinking. So at the time, just with my iPhone. So I like to create. And so that was my dream. After the school in Dalhousie, I was like, I should pursue my dream, right? And I went to NICC for 2 years, a filmmaking program, the Screen Arts, which is fantastic. And that's my first time. This is my first time in my life. I really want to learn something because I had a dream. I use my iPhone to take photos. Funny enough, I won an award that in China that the Levi's hosted award with my iPhone. And it's like,
oh my God.
Okay, one day if I can, use a professional device to do something. And here I am. Here we are.
What got you into photography in the first place?
Selfies.
Hey, at least you're honest.
I'm like, I have a device that can, take photos also, when I travel or when I, take photos of me, my friends, and that's the lame reason.
That's kind of funny because actually for us it was basically the same thing. Like we saw, kind of. So we saw in a bit of a differently, but we were on Instagram. And at the time, we'd post stuff just like, here's a photo of me and my friends, whatever, just like a regular person on Instagram. And we saw this guy who was posting more like I wouldn't say it was professionally shot or anything, but he had like these cool edits on his photos, and it just made him look like really cool. Though whoever was taking them, I don't know, but. And we were like, man, it'd be really cool to get some photos of us like that. And so, same thing. We just started taking photos on our phone, and the rest is kind of history.
Right. Yeah. All the good reasons.
Yeah.
So out of all places, why did you decide to come to Canada? Because I feel like there's probably so many options out there. Why Canada?
Good question. So I plan to go to the United States first. I've never looked into Canada And one day, I think, I've prepared everything like GRE for the grad school in the United States, and I was going to pursue the architecture program, which is more towards arts. I prefer that. And then my friend, we grew up together, and she's like, oh, Will, I'm going to Canada. I'm going to Cape Breton University. So where's Cape Breton? What is Cape Breton University? I'm going to pursue American dream or something like that. And then I started looking to Canada, like, the stereotype of Canada, in my mind was a friendly country, which is true. A cold country, which is also very, very true. We're in Halifax, not that bad, but it was very cold. And it's just a lot of tall people that wasn't my mind, and there's nothing else, right? Like, are there like universities in Canada is like good for education or something? I look into that and I realize it's very interesting cultural components there. It's a very multicultural society. I love that. And then I chat to her, and she said, that the also tuition is very cheap. It's cheaper, way cheaper than your American dream. I said, that's great. That's another reason, right? And yeah, and that's 2015. I just like, okay, I'm going to north. I'm going to maybe an adventure that that country that I never learned about, right? I watched all the Hollywood movies. You just want to be in the movie scene, like, okay, this is so cool. What an adventure. But then, I was like, okay, this is reality. Money, money, money. If tuition is cheaper, why not? I just, I came here. Sure, very straightforward. Reason is cheaper. And I love it, I love it. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's great to hear, and I'd be curious too, like how you first, like I know at Dalhousie at this point is, I feel like, pretty multicultural as well. There's a lot of people from a lot of different places going to university in Halifax. Did you find that you were able to fit in pretty quickly, or did you find that there was a bit of a transition period, like culturally and societally and all that kind of stuff?
I did have a hard period of time, look back, right? I think to me, I was more outgoing than other international students. I can admit that at that time. So I got involved quicker. I experienced the culture shock and all of those differences faster than they are. But still, I think that, school should have a better program to treat international students, rather than, came here at the same time as local students, went to the class in the same level of, education. It was pretty hard. But yeah, went through those. One thing I realized is, I just, be completely honest that Halifax is a friendly place. Whose phone is that?
Actually, I should probably shut my phone off.
I was kidding. It's
Wow.
Halifax. Halifax is it's a friendly place, but in 2015, I realized it's friendly. I also find it's friendly at the same time exclusive. I deeply sense that, right? It's so conflict, right? A place such great people, friendly people, at the same time is very exclusive. So that's that motivated what I do in the future. After I graduate, like to make this place more welcoming. It is a diverse place, but there are still room to grow, right? I don't know. Are you guys grew up here, or some of you move up from away?
So I was born in Toronto, but my parents moved us here when I was 3. So I would say that I'm basically from here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I'm kind of on the same page as you. I mean, I moved here probably younger. I mean, younger than you have. I came to Canada from Israel when I was 12. So I kind of had the
Okay.
same thing. It's like you have the cultural shock of meeting people, and also like I don't know about you, but like my English was horrible. Like I did not speak any English because like in school I thought I would never have to. I would never use English. I was like, I don't care. It's like I'll just do my own thing, like learn Hebrew. And then I came
Right.
here and I was like, holy, it's like I don't know. I don't speak anything. Like I can't say anything. So yeah, it was definitely a rough transition. Kind of like just even like the language part of things. It's like forget the
Right.
cultural shock. It's like just the language
Right.
is hard.
Just the information we can receive, right? Like, you know,
Yeah, literally.
60% at first. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why,
You
just out
know,
of
it's cool.
curiosity, like, why did you end up choosing to go the international route when it comes to school? Like, why not stay, like in the city where you were before?
Mm. Um, I think, you know, I love adventures, things. And I want to find a place that I can create without limitation, without less limitation, I guess. I just want to go somewhere at that age, right? You know, 20, 23 or 22, just want to go somewhere. And I love movies. That's why I want to be in the movie scenes. See, right? See the Hollywood movies all the time. And I want to be there, see what's going on there. I want to know what other people think and how other people think. Um, I grew up in a city that is international. We have foreigners, we have people from other cultures. But it's just I'm just curious, like other people's life and other countries. And yeah, that's how why I choose to go abroad here.
So, I mean, you own 4 businesses, right? That's right.
Something like that.
Something like that. Okay. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, for us, like even owning one business, some days we're like overwhelmed. Like, I'd love to talk to you a little bit about kind of your mindset when you've got so many different businesses. I mean, they're all connected in some way and creatively, but I'd love to get your perspective on the day-to-day operations of what it's like to be involved and own 4 different companies.
Right. See that, a great question. I'm still, in the process to make it more like a harmony.
Yeah.
So good thing is they're in the same creative area. But I have to say I'm very lucky that the people, our team, the managers in different business are great. I think I'm not good at so many things, but one thing I think I'm pretty good at is to accept different people. I have a extremely, I think, open mind and open heart. I treat people 100% with my true heart. Someone get hurt. If I get hurt, I get away. But I do that. I throw my 100% out, and I see the feedback. If I get 90% feedback, okay, you're 90%. I expect you 90%. And so I think because of the dynamic of the companies, we have so many different people. They are very different, in terms of characters or the way they do things. It's magically worked. I think if I'm only choosing people that I really like personally, that wouldn't, make my job as as a business person go easier, because the dynamic is good, and everyone is different. Everyone's exploring, everyone's learning, everyone's accepting, because everyone's different, right? Um, that's what I experience every day. I'm different. I'm from away. Everything, I'm learning every day. I'm accepting. I'm being accepted every day. So that dynamic is play a big role in how everything works together very well. So for me, is I trust my team. I give them a lot of room to execute things, and what I do is I do business connectings. I give them the directions. The good thing about those small businesses, for example, if one client from the marketing firm, we can also transfer the client to to another department. So the logic is the same. We're all in the creative industry and we all do customer service, right?
No, exactly. And just out of curiosity, or I guess for the audience's curiosity, what businesses do you own?
Oh
And can you
no.
talk a little bit about each one?
Yeah. Okay. So
If you can remember, of course.
right. Yeah. So we have the brain. We call it the brain. So the marketing company is called Ilienfero. It means different in Latin word. So that's the mind of our companies, right? So Ilienfero come up with the camping ideas, come up with those 100 feet 100,000 feet high ideas. So that's the brain, and we have the eyes. We call the visions. The wheel film. We do visual stuff, right? So the mind gonna give the eyes signal. Okay, we're going to see this thing in this angle. So yeah, the eyes gonna go see that angle. And we have our cute little baby called Halitube. Halitube is something I think I chatted with Ben a long time ago. It's my heart. Halitube is a media company that we utilize the mind and the eyes we have to help the newcomers or underrepresented communities to make a voice. So that's Halitube. And also we have city models, our talent pool. I saw a website in your background there.
Of course.
Yeah, so yeah, whenever we need talent, professional actors or models or influencers, we can hire our own people. So I think it's a very very healthy cycle.
And which one of the companies was the first one that you started?
Will Film is the first one. From my very beginning selfies to Will Film. First thing we want to achieve is to make a selfie a business. So Will Film, yeah.
So with your, something I didn't know about you is that you're a big movie guy. Where do you see yourself going in terms of filmmaking, in terms of that direction? I mean, I feel like, from what it sounds like, at least, a big part of the reason that you came to or decided to come to like Canada or North America in general is the pull of the film industry here. So I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Cool. That was my dream. But then I think you two will understand that too. When you work in your dream industry, you see things very differently, right? It's a business right now. It's how to say that my business part of me consume the creative side of me humongously. I don't think in my brain I can fit both of them well. I just want one day maybe I just become an artist and don't want to operate the business side. That was my dream, and I think that still is to don't have to think about budget, to don't think about client relationships, just to be there to do whatever we want to create, right? But business is so different. I don't know. How about you guys? Do you find that something conflict?
I would say last year we really focused a lot just on the business. We did one I would say passion project at the beginning of the year, but other than that it was really just business, like making videos for clients, that kind of thing. One thing we wanted to do this year, and we're doing a pretty good job of it, is making more time for work that we really want to create, stories that we feel like we have inside of us that we need to tell. So it's a tough balance. It is a really hard balance.
And I feel like every time you do one, you kind of feel like you're procrastinating on the other. So it's like when you're doing the business side of things, you're like, oh, I want to be creative. When you're creative, you're like, but I'm not making any money right now on this like documentary that I'm doing. So I need to go back into into making connections and kind of getting all that started. So I feel like it's always, as you mentioned, it's like that finding that perfect balance of how you can do both. But as you mentioned, it's like you can't do both at the same time. It's like that just
Right.
doesn't really work.
Right. And I never realized, the behind the scenes from the Hollywood movies are the logistics of the people, of the problem solvings. It's different, right? It's very different. So when you work in that, I don't know. I'm just thinking I'm getting far away every day to the filmmaking, the movies. I'm just further away, more like operating businesses. Yes, we're making content, but it's very different, right?
What's your
Um,
favorite part about making businesses and kind of working in the business?
to meet different people, I think that's the most awarding and interesting part. Like when me and Ben met 2 years ago, it was fun. I remember it was a snowing day, or there are snow there. It's early, I think early snow in the late fall. Is it Ben? That's what
Yep.
I remember, right?
It's a summertime.
No,
No.
it's
No,
not.
no,
No,
no, no.
no. It was. Yeah, I remember that, and I remember every single conversation we had, Ben.
Yeah.
From your German heritage, from my city, the German part, and the slangs we have. I remember everything. So like those things are the very exciting part. Like if I only one reason why still doing business, not being artist, is to meeting people. I think creative like artists are going inside, right? You're going inside of yourself. You to discover who you are, and the business is you go out of you, like you're going out, you explore. So conflict, very conflict. I mean, we're all conflicting individuals.
Hey guys, I'm just going to take a quick break here to say thank you so much for watching or listening so far. If you're enjoying the conversation, please consider subscribing. It'd help us out a lot. And now let's get back to the action. Just for people listening too. Speaking of the German heritage part. So we were talking about that a couple of years ago. This is really interesting. So I mentioned to Will that that my family is German. I was the first of my family to be born here in Canada, and he mentioned that in the city he's from, the city he was born in, China, half of the city is actually like German, or like
Buildings,
German
yeah,
architecture and stuff like that.
architectures, half of the
Yeah,
downtown, yeah.
yeah. Could you talk a little bit about that? Because that's super interesting.
My first
Right,
question is like, why? How?
Yeah, exactly.
right, yeah. First, China's huge. We have 56 nations. People look different. And my city is called Qingdao. It's a beautiful peninsula. It's between Beijing and Shanghai. Um, it's a coastal, beautiful city, and we have the most famous Chinese beer. It's called Qingdao beer. If you go to Toronto, you will see some Chinese beer with a green bottle. Yeah, I was born in the beer bottle. So that brewery was left, from Germans. I think they were in the city early 20th century, like 1902, if I'm not wrong. They were there for like around 10 to 20 years. Just correct me if I'm like all the audience, let me know I'm wrong. But they built a lot of downtown architects. They built the cathedral. We still have a cathedral there. So and they rebuilt a brewery and leftover brewery, and they left over great the water system. Like my city never flooded in downtown. Like after like 100 years, still, which is cool. So we love beer. We just love beer. We love beer. Love beer. And when you see downtown, you just half of downtown are the red roofs, right? Like the classic, German architects. It's very interesting to see the foreign culture embedded. And it tells a history, it tells a story there, but it's cool. It's very nice. And you go to northern China, you may see some Russian buildings there, right? Because the border always change. Sometimes here's Russia, sometimes this is China.
Yeah,
So
Well, it's funny too because I remember you told me about that, and then the first thing that I did after I got back from our chat was I looked up photos of the city, and I just like I couldn't believe my eyes because it's legitimately you have these like on one side of the city you just have these kind of modern massive skyscrapers like how you would expect a modern city to look, and then you just like turn a little bit and then there's all these red roofs, these like classic German architecture, the stone structure, like it's so fascinating. It's yeah.
I'm actually very curious. Do you know, historically speaking, of course, because like World War One, World War Two, all that stuff, is there a reason why they kept the buildings? Because I would have assumed that like after, I don't know, kind of all of that history, they might have, like looked into it and like, right, let's just rebuild a new downtown and kind of like forget about all that stuff. Like, do you know why they ended up keeping it?
Right. So, histories, right? I think in terms of history, it's about like how terrible it was. If it's not that terrible, if the relationship is not that bad, it really depends on situation. Because that's before World War II. So that's before the Nazi things. So that wasn't that bad. And I think I don't think they determined that as a colonization. I think they did. I'm not very sure on that part of history, but the citizens are, we're okay with that part of the history, and it's good. So we kept the building, use it, right? Why not? Destroy them and build a new one. If it's too bad, we will do that. But if right? I don't know the history, right? So it's good. It tells a story. What if it's not existing right now and the kids don't even know they're there, don't even know about the history? I think that's even worse.
Oh, totally. Well, actually, I have a question for you. In terms of like schooling specifically, I know something that me and Ben kind of always talk about. It's like people like history in Canada is not really taught that well, especially when it comes to like international history. It's like, it's like you always have to take the Canadian history class, and that's you take it once and then you never have to take it again, so you probably don't remember anything. But it's like when it comes to history that's international, I find that unless you take a class specifically to learn that, like you will pretty much never learn it unless you do it on your own. So I would love to learn kind of a bit more about what school is like in China when it comes to like before university. It's like what do you learn, I guess?
So first of all, Canadians history and geography sucks.
Yep.
I just, I'm being straightforward. It's interesting. It's very interesting. Like you ask,
it
depends, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm international like things, right? You give them a map, like point me where India is. Probably if there's no like India on the map, probably people are gonna point it around the place.
It's like
right?
probably point at Africa. It looks about the same.
Yeah. Like what how many countries in Asia are there? Like China, Japan, Korea. That seems like the most
small continent, right?
Yeah. Anyway, the school system. Wow. Let me give you 1 day schedule in my high school. Okay. So you wake up at 5 a.m. You went, yes.
Sorry, right there. That's all you need to say.
Yeah. Okay. So first we have to live in campus. You're not like a baby in the greenhouse. No, you're in the like military-looking like campus. You wake up at 5 a.m. And then you run. I think you run like 1,000 meters in the 1 kilometers or 2 kilometers, and then you go to the first self-teaching class, like 45 minutes. Like you just read, or you study, or something, prepare what you're going to learn today, and then it's breakfast time. So after breakfast, you come back, and the day started. So you have 4 classes until 11:30. 4 classes, and then you went to lunch, and then you go back to the dorm. You sleep. Okay, you nap. Okay,
And
And
that's
then
something
you,
like everybody does, or just you?
okay, you have to nap. If you don't nap, like there are teachers that are gonna, walk around and, gonna see the
Oh my
dorm, see
god.
if someone is gonna, play or chat. No, you have to keep, yeah, you have to pretend you can, pretend you're napping. And then you wake up and then three classes in the afternoon. And then you run again. And then after run, I don't know why everyone's run. Okay. And then, when you run, it's not like you just run around. It's like a whole, like a long, how to say that, like a long line of people just run at the same time, right? From
Wow.
the satellite, you would think, oh my God, the army is going to do something. But no, it's just us running. And then dinner time. So after dinner, I think 7:30 in the evening. Okay, it's not done. You have three more classes until 9:30, and then you went to the dorm and ready for this. Wake up to 5 a.m. That's high school one day.
That's crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah.
That's crazy.
Man,
Is it crazy?
I just feel like we have it so easy here.
I mean, I was
Like,
I was
You got
complaining. I
you
was
got it so
complaining
easy.
waking up at like 8 a.m. when it comes to high school.
Well, you know what's interesting? Like, I actually think, I bet you, like, just looking back now that I'm like getting into my uh, mid late 20s, and looking back at our school system here, like I feel like it's too soft. Like, I feel like kids need more. Like, if looking back at how I was back then, like discipline, there's more discipline, like more understanding of the fact that life doesn't just come to you easily, and that everything is easy, and you'll just be okay no matter what. It's like, no, life is hard, and we need to prepare you for the fact that life is hard. I mean, like, I learned those lessons in other ways after school, but yeah, I that's pretty crazy.
I'd also, honestly, I'd love to learn as well about how, because again, it's like I feel like for both, like, I guess Asia in general, but it's like, China, Japan, it's like the schooling system is crazy compared to anywhere else, really. And of course, like, suicide rates are really high, and people are like, your parents always put very hard, like, high pressure and expectations. So I'm kind of curious to hear your opinion if, like, all of that ended up helping you to kind of get to where you are now, or do you think that system should change a little bit? And if it should, I would love to hear a bit about, like, what you think would be the best way to run that system, or if there's like a perfect world between like a Canadian system or in like a Chinese system, for example.
Right, right. It definitely should change. I think that's too crazy. It is too strict. I envy the school system here before I came here. Or the North American system. I find oh yeah, I was watching High School Musicals. I was like, that is wild, right? We look at that and like, oh, my day like this. Anyway, but I think both systems should change. They should towards to the middle a little bit. The Asian system are too competitive. But on the other side, the society is more competitive than the school system in Asia.
Hmm.
So, but it's still, I think the creative side should be preserved more. You guys, I think, because it's loose enough, so you're more creative. For the Asian students, because more strict, so we're more disciplined, right? But it's pros and cons, right? But I think in a perfect world, and no matter what society you will graduate to, I think everyone should have a basic, like, you have to learn these things, and like for 50% of your time, another 50% of your time, you should be able, like, this individual should be able to choose rather than the society think or your parents think, right? For example, if you want to use iPhone to take selfies, you go to take selfies. And you want to become a pilot, you become a pilot. if you want to do anything like that, right? Yeah, I still more like the school system here. I think it's loose enough, also it's strict enough. However, I realize this teachers are not getting respected here. Like
That's a big
that's
thing.
I can't stand that. Like, when our teacher walked in, in China, we stand up, we give a big bow, good morning or something. And when the teacher leaves, you know, we were educated the way, I mean, not educated, like I understand that when people be harsh on you, I think I learned this in a very good way early too. When people get harsh on you, for example, teachers or your parents, you look into their intention. If their intention is good, I always respect that so much. So I respect my teachers. I respect the system, the restricted system, if the intention is good. I understand from the root, but I find here is different. I mean, it's
Oh,
very interesting to see some. I saw students, deep, like
oh,
argue or.
absolutely. Ilya and I actually talk about this all the time because, he comes from a Russian background, even with my German background as well. Like, certain things are expected of you in terms of respecting people, especially your elders.
Right.
And to see the way, like growing up, that the way that some kids were with the teachers, the way that some kids were uh, with their parents, even, it's just like I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. Like it's just so different from like how we were raised.
Also,
Yeah.
just out of curiosity, because I know that's something Ben and I have kind of chatted with as well. It's like I feel like because culturally, of course, like if somebody is elderly, doesn't matter what they do. It's like you respect them, right? It's like you put that level of respect no matter what. In terms of business, do you find that that was a struggle for you? Because of course, a lot of interactions that you have are probably with people that are older than you. And I
Mm,
know one thing that we kind of struggled with in the very beginning is it's like you have to give the respect, of course, to the people, but at the same time, you're on the same level in terms of knowledge a lot of the times, or you might know a lot. Like, let's say, for example, modeling, right? Just to give an
mm,
example, it's like you know more about that than they would because you're trying to sell it to them. So it's like now the power dynamic kind of changes, even though they're older. I was
yeah.
kind of curious, like, how do you did you have that? How do you fight through it?
Interesting. Yeah. So our oldest employee is 60 years old. And yeah, Gail, hi Gail, if you listen to this. Um, okay, interesting. Yes, I have strong opinions, and I know that I don't don't tell them, but I have strong opinions. But I'm also a good listener. I'm a very good listener. I can listen 100%. I may take 20%, but I can listen 100%. Based on what we discuss, if the intention is good, right? I respect. For example, Gail. I know Gail's a straightforward person. She's a straightforward person. She has more knowledge, more experience. She was the most successful entrepreneurs in the city for 25 years. Um, I know that, right? Also, as you said, business owner know the best of the business. There's nobody else know more or know better than the business I operate, right? So there's, a very interesting, like they want to help, but they have their great skills I don't have or knowledge. I know my business, right? There's like a information gap there. So what I do is I respect 100%. I listen 100%. I take I use my knowledge that I know my business. I use that as a filter.
Hmm.
So I filter 80%. This is 20% I'm going to take, and I'll thank you 100% of your feedback and criticize or your recommendations. Um, and since I mentioned, it's a very dynamic, team. People are different. So I think listening is very important in that environment because everyone has their thoughts, from their perspective. Everyone's different. There's no wrong or right in terms of doing business or in terms of doing anything. You just have to listen. You just open your ears and just to listen. You can know other people's think, oh, interesting. Maybe that doesn't fit our business, but I listen. Thank you so much. But yeah, I think listening is great. I love listening, and all people love me. I love older people. I just find older people also can listen. I mean, I hang
Yeah.
out with people who are older than I am all the time.
Well, the thing I find about typically, especially with older people, is they're just so sure of themselves a lot of the time. Like they know who they are. They know they don't have to prove anything to anybody. And because of that, like you said, like they're just there's not this need to kind of like to talk all the time, to feel like you're like the main focus of attention, or like you need to prove anything. Yeah, they're very sure of themselves. I was curious too about how, if in any way, like the difference in culture impacted the way that you attack your businesses, the way that, because I'm sure, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm sure that building a business here is probably quite a bit different than building a business in China. So I'm curious on your perspective on that, and maybe it's some adjustments you had to make along the way because of it.
Right. I didn't have any experience doing business in China, so I was a student
Yeah.
over full time there as a student. So if so, I realized I use my cultural background and my like who I am as an advantage and as a weapon of doing business. Because my perspective, for example, create videos or create campaigns, I have a very different eye than local people because of the cultural background, because what I grew up, what I see. So I, instead of hiding that part, I make that pop up. I when I watch Kill Bill, you know, uh, printing was influenced by the Asian culture. You just know when you like watch Pulp Fictions. You see the elements there, right? When you compare to other Hollywood movies, oh, interesting. This person must know some of this. That makes him very different, right? I think he filmed the Pulp Fiction way before Kill Bill, and
Yeah, like
the
10 years or
right
something.
10 years,
Yeah.
all of the weapons that person can use to kill those two people, he chose a Japanese sword, right? There are saws there. He touched, put it down. This, put it down. Gun, put it down. Think of that. And when I see Kill Bill after, that's interesting. Like this person is very culturally influenced, which is great, right? So I'm thinking, use the same tactic, right? Just to combine. I cannot do 100% Asian way here. I cannot produce anything that's Asian way. And people, I put 100%. People can only take 20%. But it's like Chinese food. I cannot give you authentic Chinese food. You say, oh, this exotic, that's great. But will you eat it? Would you eat it often? Maybe chicken bowl's better for you, right? So yeah, Chinese food. Oh, I have to say Chinese food. Okay, Canadian Chinese food. Like, can I say that part? Not.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Yes, please tell us. Yeah.
All right. So came here. I went to Chinese restaurant. Right. I looking at the menus. Like I don't know 80% what's going on the menu in the Chinese restaurant. I was like, what is chicken balls? Like chicken testicles? And then like it's it's deep so many deep fried stuff that we don't have in China, right? Like General Tao. I'm like, who's General Tao? Like, right? And I have to do some research. It turns out it turned out that immigrants, early immigrants came here, they want to make a living and they have to do some adaptations, right? What the local people like, we'll do some changes. It's a whole history about American or North American Chinese foods. Very, very interesting. However, they taste great. Like even I tried, interesting. It's a new genre. It's a new genre of Chinese food. Great. Yeah. How do you guys like, Chinese food?
I think it's really good.
But Canadian Chinese food is pretty good. Yeah. I mean, I've never had anything authentic, I don't think.
But I guess like for us, it's like how like as somebody who's not like from Asia, like how do you know if something is authentic? Because there probably is something in Halifax that is authentic, right? But it's like how do you know that it is authentic? It's like is it because everything like I don't know, it's like the restaurant name is in Mandarin, or is it because like the menu you can't understand? It's like how do you know that it's authentic?
You probably just have to find a Chinese friend.
Yeah.
When we go there, they have two menus. One is for Canadians, one is for Chinese.
Oh,
really?
Oh yeah. If, for example, some restaurant like that, you said I want like authentic Chinese menu. They give you another menu. So there's a great restaurant called May Garden. The Mill Cove, the beautiful restaurant.
Yeah.
Eric Young is the owner, is fabulous. On his menu, if you see, the menu items all in English, that's for you guys, right? And if you see some, English and some Mandarin on it, that's the authentic menu. But they combine in one book, so you're just gonna see, I want to see some Chinese characters. Okay, this is good, right? So, yeah, or you just be brave with coming and say, I want like authentic Chinese food. Do you have any?
What do you find is the big difference between authentic Chinese food and Chinese American food?
American Chinese food, a lot of deep fry. I've never seen a deep fryer in my life until I came to Canada. Right? It's a lot of, for example, chicken balls, that's deep fry, processed chicken meat.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. When we were in China, we went to my parents went to the morning market every single morning. You just get fresh stuff every morning came in. I don't think you would buy a chicken ball there. Just some fresh vegetables and fresh meat come back and just prepare. Yeah, it's like a pizza. Like a pizza style, like pizza particularly. You go to a little market, came back with some stuff. You just eat the whole day. You don't. My fridge, when I grew up, my fridge is always empty.
Interesting. So is it just kind of a cultural thing to pretty much go out anytime you want to eat?
Go out in the morning. The morning market is cheaper. It's fresher. It's fresher than the later market. So you get there, kids went to school very early, right? So may as well grocery shopping.
Is this is this something you still do to this day, where it's like your fridge is still pretty much empty, or have you learned more or less like favorite dishes that you like cooking and you just kind of stick with those?
I'm super Canadian right now. Oh, I love leftover food. There's something very interesting. I never eat leftover when I was in China, but I came to here people pack food to go. That's something I realized, which is great, right? You don't want food waste. And then I see my Canadian friends pack to go if they didn't finish. Interesting. I would do that too. It's so convenient, eh? And it's sometimes the second day just put in the microwave. And I love leftover food right now. It's so good. It's so good. Sometimes I order more, right? I order a little bit more that I cannot finish, just pack to go. Tomorrow I don't have to cook or something. And in our industry, Ben, we rarely have time, like a regular schedule to cook.
Yeah.
I don't think there is a regular schedule.
Yeah, there's no regular.
There's no routines.
No,
right?
that's it's kind of fun. I mean, we always talk about every day something new. Every day is something new, which is
and your time is client's time.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Clients always number one. I mean, we always talk about too. I think we mentioned it on the last podcast we did, but it's just one of those industries, right, where You know, you get an email at 10 p.m. and it's important. You got to answer. It's not. I can't wait till the morning.
Right.
It's
Right. It's good mentality. I mean, I think if any industry in North America like that, you know, they're gonna grow faster. You
So
know,
what do you
one
think?
thing I realized. Yeah. Sorry.
No,
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No. 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 I just realized. One thing I realized. People. In a very slow pace here.
Mm.
In a good way. Yeah. They rather slow than make mistake. Mm.
Yeah, that's very true. I wanted to also ask you a couple questions about how things are going with HaliTube, because I remember last time that we chatted a couple years ago, things were just starting to kind of take off for HaliTube. So yeah, fill me in. How are things going over there?
It's going pretty well. So how to, we started in the Chinese community because I'm from the community, and then we expanded to like the broader like Asian communities to duplicate the successful case studies. And I think when we talk, Ben, I think we just launched the Immortality Beer, a collaboration with a good robot, a seltzer, peach seltzer. Yeah, the theme
Yep.
was Monkey King. Yeah, because in the pandemic, there's a lot of Asian hate, so we do something, to help the local business also to express the goodwill. So right now we are expanding to more underrepresented communities. Because HiTube is just an interesting business model that we tell stories. We tell stories of community. At the same time, we benefit local small businesses, right? So we just really want to do that. I think last year a few organizations reached out to us, want to get involved, but like they also we're not Asian, we're from other communities, but we really want to get involved. So it's like, okay, maybe we just put ourselves in the box. So it's a time for us to just don't have the box. Right? If you have a story, if we can benefit the local business, why not? So we do that, and we're going to do more collaborations. So, we did a beer collaboration with the Good Robot. We can do anything, right? I don't know. We can do anything.
What's your vision with it? I'd be very curious, kind of like if you had an end goal
Right.
for it, is it something you've thought about?
I think HaliTube ultimately should be the tube, the tube to connect people who want to come here and who want to, and the service and the product want to go out. I think we are just building the bridges. That's what we do all the time. HaliTube, people ask me, is that a tubing company? It's like Halifax tubing company. You do some tubes. Yeah, we do tubes. We're connecting communities, connecting businesses. Yeah, we want to do that. Keep doing that. I think if we can help one community, we can help other. That's the ultimate goal.
Anything exciting on the horizon there with HaliTube? Like, what are you guys working on now?
If
So
you can
right
share.
now, yeah, I can share. So May is Asian Heritage Month. So we celebrate Asian Heritage Month all the time. Very interesting. We finished the Lunar New Year celebration with the shopping center in January. So that was fun. That was very fun. We did the dragon dance. We did the Chinese calligraphy. We sell gift cards. We do a lot of fun stuff. And May is Asian Heritage Month. So we're going to celebrate with the city, with HRM, with the Pier 21, and the libraries. We have a lot of events going on, so everyone can stay tuned. And we have more collaborations, not just beer. So yeah, if you want a beer, we can do more beer. If you want to do other stuff, a swag or even food, we can do that. We just want to tell a good story, also help the local businesses.
Coca-Cola collaboration coming soon.
Oh my God.
That's exciting, man.
If there's a goodwill.
Yeah. That's really cool, though. I'm excited to see what the celebration's like in May. I think that'll be really cool. And so, is this something you've done with the HRM before as well, or is this the first year that you're going to be doing this kind of a large scale celebration?
It's the second year. We did one. We came on board with HRM last year, 2022.
Okay.
Everyone's great. Such a good crowd. So we want to do more. And last year we also did in June. So June is Filipino historical month. And we did something with the Filipino communities as well. So it's fun. In the city, if you ever find so bored, look into the cultural aspect. It's very, very interesting. It's getting more diverse, which is fun, right? We'll have different cultural backgrounds. We'll have different stories, different interesting stereotypes to break. So very fun. Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
So,
I was gonna say
sorry?
sometimes I feel like it's funny with the stereotypes. It's like sometimes I feel like I am like when you talk about German stereotypes. I'm like, I have some German stereotypes. It's like I feel like
I want to know.
You want to know?
Tell me a few.
Well, what's funny is so something that happens with people who speak German is the way that they express themselves in English is very different than the way that they express themselves in German. So because German is very like, I think it's kind of similar to Russian in this way, but where like things are just very kind of matter of fact and to the point. So what happens to me a lot of the time is when I if I'm spending a lot of time with my family, and then then I'm like speaking German consistently for quite a period of time. When I break that and I come back to English, I'm doing the same thing that I was doing in German, where I'm like very direct, very matter of fact, very like on the nose that way, and I'm like, this is just so stereotypical because you think of a German and that's exactly what it's like. Like they're just like not really
thing thinking you were mean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just.
No, people say the same thing about me because I come from like a Russian background, so it's like the amount of times that I'll talk to somebody and like I will not smile or say anything. Like I'll talk to them and have a normal conversation, and like, I don't know if you're mad, I don't know if you're happy. It's like you always look the exact same. It's like your tone does not change if you're happy, sad, whatever it is. And it's like,
a poker face.
Yeah, it's like you forget that it's like culturally in Russia, it's like, I don't know, it's like you don't really, showing emotions, not really, you don't really do it often, you know what I mean? It's like, especially in a scenario where like sometimes like we could be talking, I'm like, this is the greatest conversation I've ever had, but it's like, you're never going to see that.
Very interesting. Wow. That's very
what about you? Do you have any stereotypes that you kind of have?
Yeah, so, for the Chinese or Asian stereotypes are, I think, I came here, people think, Asians are shy. Yes, we have, I think it's shy part is just because we're new here. You're not very, that 100% comfortable here. Like, right now, when I compare my Chinese friend and my Canadian friend, they're not shy at all. They're crazy. They're not shy. Maybe they just don't open that part yet. Another thing is like math. Yeah, like you have good math. Like, every time in a crowd, if I'm the only Chinese or only Asian there, when they have some math or if they want to, divide a bill, they will just turn to me. It's like, I don't know. Like, use your iPhone.
What am I, a calculator? Like,
yeah, there's a calculator. Yeah, it's crazy. Math, that's crazy. Yes, I think in terms of math, we do spend more time learning that. It doesn't mean like when we think of something, I'm faster than you, I'm smarter than yeah. People think Asian people are smarter. I don't know where they come from. Like smarter in which way? That is so funny.
Yeah, it's really well, I think I think some of it probably has to do with the fact that like what you were talking about with how rigid and disciplined the school system is, where you don't really have that time to kind of like I feel like a lot of people here, when it comes to a lot of the learning they do, the growth that they have, comes maybe after school, and maybe you guys just get that a little bit earlier. With how rigid things are and the discipline with that. I mean, like, I don't know. Like I don't know what.
I mean,
Like, I'm just where that stereotype
I mean,
would
even
come
if you
from.
think of it this way, like for example, let's imagine it's a random day in a university day, right? Like if you have like an Asian student and a Canadian student, the Canadian student after class will probably go to the dome and start drinking, while the Asian
Yeah.
student will probably just continue studying because I mean they're used to it. It's pretty normal, and then maybe they'll go out later, right? But it's like you probably
Right.
spend more time actually learning because you're more
Right.
used to it, and like
Yeah,
people
yeah,
here where it's like you're just like, oh, school is over.
Interesting.
Well, class is over. That means I'm done. It's like I have
Right.
nothing else
Right.
to do.
Right.
yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I
What do you
just, you
think?
know, I think, I think people should just see people as individuals,
Oh,
even not
100%. Yeah,
right, not
yeah.
even your nationality. I think nationalities put a really giant tag on each person.
Oh, of course.
Right, you're Chinese, or you're Russian, you're German, you're blah blah. Like once the nationality card played, people are gonna have some prejudice, right? Good or bad.
It's interesting too because I feel like societally right now we're definitely in a place where people are very much being identified by those markers rather than like celebrating us for all being humans.
Mm,
We're putting each other in boxes, um, and saying like these characteristics are associated with this kind of person. These characteristics are associated with this kind of person. And it's like I don't know, I love your point there about us, we're all individuals, we all have our own hopes and dreams and battles we face. And just because of the
right,
way that I look, that it has nothing to do with like the way I look has nothing to do with
Yeah.
necessarily my experiences in life.
right,
Just because I'm white and that guy's white, that doesn't mean that like we've experienced the same thing. Yeah.
right,
I mean,
right,
also, if you really think about it, at the end of the day, it's like, other than like the cultural differences and all that stuff, at the end of the day, like we're the same thing. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like we both like movies, we both like the same stuff, we both have goals, we
right.
both like. It's like there's no difference on a very fundamental level.
People are more common than they're different.
Exactly.
Um, and for example, in 2020, the pandemic or the political issues, um, you know, I I would love to put my national flag, like Chinese flag in front of my house, like other people do, right? People put Switzerland flag, Canadian flag, the States flag, some flag. Can I do that? I cannot.
Mm.
In 2020, you just know if the second you put Chinese flag in front of my house, I'll be in trouble. People think, oh, right, political reasons or other stupid reasons. People may throw rock on my house, right? You know, this is our society right now, and that will happen. People are gonna stop there and honk their cars to your house, right? Whenever I think I can feel safe to do that, whenever Ilya, you can feel safe to do that,
Imagine
that's a
Ben
good
being
society.
German. Like, you think
Yeah.
have you ever
See,
seen a German flag
however,
anywhere?
I think German's fine. You know,
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
probably far enough away
A
now that
Russian right now is a
yeah,
little
yeah,
questionable,
right?
to say the least.
it's interesting.
Yeah,
It's interesting though because a lot of the time, like you talk about, not wanting to put up a flag of China or a Russian flag, but it's interesting because it's not like the negative things that people associate with that flag are not the country. It's just there's individuals maybe who have represented the countries in the past or are currently representing the countries, um, that maybe maybe they're not such great people, or sometimes they're awful people, but like that's not the country. That's not the people in the country. That's just one person, and it's sometimes hard to disassociate those two because
right.
if you think of Russia right now, most people will just think of Putin. And you don't think of the people who live in the middle of nowhere with no electricity, who are just trying to get to the next day. They've got kids like in Siberia, in the middle of the Siberian tundra, and these people are just going about their life on a day-to-day basis. And I bet you if you met them and you were able to communicate in some way, you'd have a lot more in common than you would have different, because we all share the human experience.
Thank you, Ben. After your kind words, me and Ili are gonna get canceled in China and Russia right now.
Yeah,
pretty much.
you're welcome.
No, we're canceled.
Yeah.
It all sounds nice until you actually try it.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
never
fair
go
enough.
back.
Yeah,
Anyway, no, yeah, it's 100%. Even if, let's go one step further. Even if a person's ideologies or beliefs is different than the mainstream North American beliefs, I still think, people can judge that, right? We're all different.
I totally agree.
Yeah. Even if, you're the supporter of Putin 100%, even if you are like that, I don't think I would treat you differently. That's just what you think, right?
Yeah, and it's just part. It's just a part
I
of
don't
what you
think
think.
that, but if yes, I don't think like that. But if you think that, that's your own business, right? So,
Thank you for supporting my decision, Will.
Oh boy, yeah. Now we're really gonna get canceled.
Now you get canceled. 3 of us get canceled.
So, yeah.
Nice knowing you
No,
guys.
no. We're just kidding.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. I love. That's why I like here people are more. Although some weird people made me not want me to put my national flag there, but like when you really talk to people in person level, in human level, I think majority of the people are, understandable. They're very understandable. Also, it's based on where you communicate. I think when people communicate in a massive base, for example, on the internet, people get more stupid than people one-to-one talk to you.
Oh, of course.
Right? Yeah. When people in a group, they're stupid.
And they just kind of, I mean, I've like, for example, so before this year, I've never been a guy who's, I guess, like I never really used Twitter, for example, and I was always like, I don't know, it seems dumb. Like I don't want to, why do I want to read like some 40 characters of what someone has to say? And then like I just started following people. I'm a big hockey fan, and the fastest way to get news for hockey is to follow certain people on Twitter. So I started doing that, and then I started following other people who I found interesting and all this kind of stuff. And I find on that app you notice it more than any other app, where it's like one person says one thing, and then all of a sudden it's just an army of other people who are just like hating on that guy, or start to believe the exact same thing just because one person said it. It's like herd mentality, one person believes it, we all believe it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought Twitter just for adult content, so it's not.
Oh, maybe it is. Man.
Yeah, I mean,
are you sure it's hockey?
Yeah. Yeah, let's
It's crazy. Like people are getting so divided. I find like place like Twitter, it's nurturing that divided things. I don't think it's healthy. I just find also like when you can register 2 Twitter accounts and one see more left wings, one see more right wings, and that's 2 different worlds. If there's 2 individuals looking to this thing, their mind gonna be separate so far, like far away. I don't know. It's crazy.
Well,
I just find people should spend less time on it.
I totally agree. I mean,
You should spend less time.
what I was gonna say is, so the thing that happens with Twitter is you only follow people whose stuff you want to read, right? So if that's the case, and let's say if you're talking about politics, then you're only gonna follow the people who support your political position, right? Like people don't like to challenge their own ideas. They don't like to think that they could be wrong about something. And we all, I mean, that's just part of the human experience. I mean, to acknowledge that you might be wrong about something, I feel like is in some way to go against your biological urge. Like you just want to be the one who's right. So you put yourself in this echo chamber of people who all think the exact same way as you do. So then what happens is when there's people who think differently than you, then it becomes, like you said, you just become so divided because that group of people is only listening to what that group of people wants, and you're only listening to what your group of people wants, and then there's no way to like come together and have a conversation.
I did not know adult content was this divided on Twitter.
Oh, let me tell you, man, it's very
really
divided.
So, yeah.
Going back just a little bit to the companies, I'm just very curious. What was your experience like, and when did you know that it was the right time to hire your first employee, and who was that first employee, like position-wise?
Oh, wow. My first full-time employee is my classmate from my film school.
Oh, interesting.
no way.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's, cultural shock or something. I went to film school and I'm older, right? You went to, film school like NICC, like your classmate, like, early 20s or late 10s, like 19, late 10s. Can we say late 10s? Early 20s.
Yeah, oh, that's like so weird. Yeah, but that's right.
No one say that, right? Late 10s, like late 20s. How to say like late 10s?
Well, you're right. It would be the late 10s, like the late. But when you say like the late 10s, or like you late think, 10s. Oh, the late like 1910s. But now we're past that point in the 21st century. So I think that's right. I think you could say that, and it makes sense.
Late 10s. Okay. Anyway, they're young people, right? And as we say, I get along with older people better than I get along with younger people. So Jeff, great guy. He's older than me. I think he's like around 10-year old than me, and he treated me very nice, right? All the other kids, they made us insecure, played big, or I have my own business at that time. I don't have time for those kind of bullshit. So I just minded my own business. And Jeff was one of, a few kind of people who treat me well in my classmates. I said, if I have ability to hire someone, I'm going to hire Jeff. So yeah, I hired Jeff after I graduated in 2020. 2019, I graduated. Yeah, in film school.
What position did you hire him for?
Digital content creator. So Jeff is a great editor. So, and he has his way to tell a story. That's his, yeah. So
how did you know that you what was it like kind of at that stage where you were like, do I need an employee? Do I not need an employee? Like what was that kind of transition like, going from like no employees to your first ever like real employee?
I think when I realized 1 + 1 is bigger than 2, I may make less money, but I do want to grow. I do want to make a team to be capable to do things rather than just myself. Also, time is our most precious thing, right? So sometimes we just don't have that enough time. Yeah.
No, totally. That makes sense.
Right?
And what about when it comes to just employees in general? Because I feel like one of the biggest thing as an employer is hiring the right people, right? So in terms of the modeling side of things, are you the person to hire the models, or do you have somebody to hire them?
So me and the assistant Sarah, so we look into the people. So we have tons of applications. So we look into the people. I really want to make the decision. Okay, I like this look. I think this is the this next supermodel. This is the great influencer. However, I have to put a perspective that what market needs, right? Rather than what I like. If I'm gonna direct my own thing, I would choose my own people. But you kind of know what the market really like because you're in this business.
What do you look for when you look for a model?
Oh,
Like for example, if you
so
look
basically,
at
for any models listening, you're about to get the inside scoop on what it
Oh
takes
my
to be a
God.
city model.
so for example, let's just say if you looked at Ben right now and he came to you
Yeah.
with an application, what
Mm.
would you say to Ben?
There's absolutely no way in hell.
Okay,
It's like Ben,
so
the beard has to go. You're a little too short,
no,
and your eyes are a
no.
little too close.
So first, we only reply to the people who we want to interview. So it's not because we're ignorant or something, or you're not, beautiful enough, or you're not capable enough. We just because the market is small, right? The market is small here, and we need a background actors. We need models. We need some influencers. That's it. So we don't want a big roster. So we want a small, capable roster. And for example, Ben, if you apply, if I think, for example, if I think some brand like Studio or like Stanfield, every brand have their own brand identity, right? They have their own taste of people to represent their products and services. Like for example, shopping center, right? Or like, for example, tourism Nova Scotia, what they like, So we think of what our clients like, and then we hire people. We recruit our roster of that instead of I think you're great, you're like a Versace model. It does not matter. Maybe there's no such a client here called Versace, so you're not gonna get hired, right? We don't want you to be here and then no jobs. That's the worst scenario, right? Yeah. So then shave and apply for the jobs. Then you'll be a great beer model, like for beer product.
Yeah, there you go.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Like yeah. Like
So whenever you
for
start
that.
like a beard oil company or something, then I'll be the one. I'll be the first call.
No more business for me.
No,
Maybe some collaborations.
yeah. You're good with 4. That's gonna be it. Yeah.
That's great.
So I guess like actually, I feel like we never really kind of went over it. So what does your day look like now with 4 companies? Like how do you allocate time, and how do you decide to allocate that time to that company? Or do you have like 2 hours per company type of thing, or it's like whatever needs to get done with that specific company? Just how do you go about your day?
Right now, I think that good. It's a good question. It really depends on how big the scale right now and how busy which company is. For me, it's all priorities. Because you never finish what you're gonna do as an entrepreneur, and you too know there's unlimited work. You cannot finish your day job at all, right? When I see my schedules booked 3 years later, I'm feel way older. I feel okay. My future is not mine. I know, 3 years from now I'm going to do that. Like that, it's crazy, right? So you have to be really, gentle to yourself and to jump out, like work on your business rather than work in your business. You have to be on top of everything to look down from a higher level to see, like, for example, what are the goals in 3 years of each company? Where are they going? How to get there? If we have unlimited resources, how can I help each other since we're in the same industry? It's all about that, and things change. You plan a great giant plan, things change just like that, right? And we have to replan. So you just have to look down. You always look down and always see what's the priority. Like, for example, this morning, like, what I do this morning, that I woke up, I see my schedule the day, like before I sleep, also when I first wake up on the day. So you have to be mentally prepared, not just like
you still waking up at 5 a.m.?
No, I lost that. Oh, I lost that. Okay, just quick information. In China, after you graduate from high school, if you go to university, it's another world. It's so loose. It's looser than.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's
Wow.
so interesting. it's like you're from hell to heaven.
So it's like you
Yeah,
made it. When you get to university, it's like, oh, you don't even have to do any work. Like you're already okay. Like
it's
your
just
life is set.
it's sad, and you don't even have to go to class. Like a lot of people don't go to class. You just just go to exam, and if you pass, you pass. Like one class, 500 people in the giant classroom. People, the teacher don't know if you're there or not, right? So it's all like self-discipline. So it's funny when I from my my undergrad to grad school here in Dalhousie, I think that's very strict compared to in
Interesting.
China.
So it's like
Mhm.
the complete opposite. It's like our high school here is not strict, but then our university is. But in China, it's like high school is extremely strict, and then university is not.
Yeah, it's the opposite. And
Fascinating.
yeah, back to my day this morning. Wake up to see the schedule, and I see I have to be mentally prepared. I know we have a podcast at 2 p.m. I know that. I didn't forget that, but I still have to see that. I still have to poke my nerves, let me to mentally prepared. Okay, it's coming at 2 p.m. And then I have my employee come, so we do some stuff, and I have a business meeting at 11 o'clock, and came back, have a coffee, and right away have another meeting, virtual meeting, and then it's our podcast time. It's very flexible, like your schedule too. I'll believe it's very flexible. The good thing, for being an entrepreneur is you're extremely busy, but you're extremely flexible. Do you
Yeah,
find that?
yeah. I mean, for us, like, and it's changed over the years, but what we find, I think, when we're our most productive, what we're doing is when we get into work, we say, okay, these are three things that need to get done today. And then once those three things are done, we've got a bunch of other small stuff that we can take care of. Like you said, there's an unlimited amount of things you can work on as an entrepreneur. But yeah, like that's I think when we're at our most productive.
Yeah, totally. And again, I
Wow,
feel like
awesome, awesome.
you can probably relate as well. It's like some days, or like you'll go a month and you're like, I'm having a perfect month. My schedule is good, everything is good. And then like the next month, you're like, I feel like I haven't done anything. It's like I feel so lazy. I
Yeah,
feel this and that. And then like, but you look back at your calendar and you're like, holy shit! Like I still, even
right,
though I didn't think I did a lot, it's like you're like I still did a lot of things because like you never just do one thing a day, right? It's like you always have multiple
right.
things on the go, and it's like it might be you might only do small sections of those things, but it all adds up
Yeah,
after a month, right?
yeah. When I look back to my calendar, I was like, if some company hire me, they're freaking lucky bastard. Because like you too, you're capable to do things, to do multiple things, right? But I like your idea to do three like masks down every day. So after those, you can just log on Twitter, right?
Pretty much, yeah, yeah,
And watch
yeah,
your adult content.
yeah, yeah, yep, yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah.
Our title for this episode should be Twitter.
Yeah.
Adult content with
Well,
Will,
that
Ben, and
kind of
Ilya.
Twitter. Oh
Yeah.
my God, that's crazy. Yeah,
Um,
it's great.
yeah, yeah, no, the three things is super helpful, and I think as well, like, um, when you talk about the flexibility part of stuff, it's really nice because a lot of the time, and I'm sure you experience this as well, but you'll just be working on whatever during the day, and then all of a sudden you get an email, and you're like, oh my god, there's a
Mhm.
fire. I need to put this fire out. And that's going to be like the rest of the day. And let's say you have, I don't know, you have those tasks scheduled or you have meetings scheduled. I mean, it's those can all be shifted. Something that we learned is like, okay, I have this meeting set. It might be an important meeting, but it's not the end of the world if I push it to next week. Like people aren't going to die. The world's not going to end if I say, hey, John,
Hopefully.
yeah, hopefully, yeah. Hey, John, you
Yes.
know, I can't make my meeting today. I have this fire to put out with another client. Like, can we please do this tomorrow? Can we do it next Tuesday? And
Mhm.
99% of the time, they're going to be like, no problem.
Because I feel like
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
understands, right? It's like, I feel like if you said, hey, like if we had a meeting scheduled and you're like, hey, sorry, I ended up having some client issues, like, sounds good. It's like, I feel like
Yeah.
there's like this mutual respect of like, I understand exactly what you're going through right now. Go do whatever you need to do and we'll figure it out later.
that's the reason why we postpone our podcast, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I postponed first, and then and then we're here.
Now
Yeah,
you're here.
it's the understanding, in the same industry. Like, we understand each other because we are in this industry, because we have the same pace,
Yeah.
right? And when you communicate with the government or the organizations, they're in a very different pace. Like those meetings, I I don't want to postpone. You just
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. No,
you just can't.
I totally agree. I think also just to feel like we're at a good point to wrap things up. I was wondering if for anybody who's starting out in the creative space, anybody who's
Or maybe in the middle of their.
or in the middle of their journey, or like as someone who's got a lot going on and seems very capable. I'm curious, like, what if do you have any advice to people who are whether they're at the beginning of their journey or in the middle?
Give us some wisdom.
Yeah.
Well, wisdom, I don't know. I'm still
Don't go on Twitter.
doing the journey. Don't go on Twitter too much. Make sure you finish 3 must-do first. No, I think look back to my own journey. When how to say that? If you realize you have difficulties, or if you have troubles, if you feel you burned out, if you feel why so hard, I think that's the time you are growing. Like I've never grow, I've never learned from the happy time. It's just it's life, right? It's just the way I always give me like 5 minutes proud time. That's my limit, 5 minutes. For example, if I achieve a big goal, if I do something I'm very proud, 5 minutes, and then that's it. You just have to make yourself not in a emotional state that is extremely happy or extremely sad. Like those two ends are, to me, is very, very dangerous, not very helpful. I can be I can be very interesting, I can be very funny, I can laugh a whole day. It doesn't mean I'm extremely proud or extremely happy, or I'm like have a big head or something. It's just enjoy the time, right? So yeah, all the boundaries and all the difficult times are the time to grow. Just think that way. I never take personally. Like failures, I love failures. If failures come to me, I take that. I take that in a very humble way. I never let failure to. I never take that personally. It's not because of I'm not capable. Business is business. There's so many factors, right? You cannot do everything successful. Failure is 99%, right? So how take that and move forward? How take that and learn? That's very important. So I don't take that personally. The failure came, great. I've learned another lesson for free. Maybe cost something, cost something big. But I'll never make same mistake again. That's what's my discipline. No same mistake. If I think one job, there's one gig that was a no from the client because of my email, because of my punctuation.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'll say okay, that's okay. I think I subscribed Grammarly, and I was really hard on myself. Those things. So I just don't want to write a unprofessional email again, because I take that lesson. That's expensive lesson. Right? So I take that, but not personally. I'm not like, oh, I'm so dead. Don't feel that way. We all, anything's hard. If you work for someone, hard. Work with someone's hard. You provide jobs for other people's hard. There's no easy job. There's no perfect world. So just enjoy the time, right? What do you think? Give me some advice that you guys have.
Well, actually, it's funny that what your advice was, because I think it was it was a couple months ago, and I don't know if this actually it's a story. What apparently the story is called The Chinese Farmer. I don't know if this story actually comes from China, but what I heard, it was actually on Twitter. So there you go.
Sure.
Yeah. But it was a video of a guy, and he said it's the story of the Chinese farmer. And basically, how the story goes is, there's a farmer in China, and he's got a horse, and his horse one day runs away, and the people in the town go, "Oh, that's so awful. That's so bad. Like, I can't believe that happened to you." And he goes, "Maybe." The next day, the horse comes back with 4 other horses. And people go, "Oh my God, that's so incredible. Like you got these 4 horses that come back. That's amazing. I can't believe it. You're so lucky." He goes, "Maybe." The next day, his son's out riding and breaks his leg because he falls off the horse.
Mhm.
And the villagers go, "Oh my God, you're like, how could this happen? This is terrible." And the farmer goes, "Maybe." And then the next day, the military comes because they're in the middle of a war, and they're recruiting people. And the farmer's son doesn't get taken because he has a broken leg. And that is the story of the Chinese farmer. So that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you'd like to check out our socials, I've linked them in the description. And if you'd like to check out the work of our production company, I've linked that in the description as well. Thanks so much, and we'll see you in the next one.